What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 3820 podcast. I'm Rich G. Today is a special day. Today, I am in the studio with a good friend of mine. Friend of mine that I am with, I have known for over 27 years. He is probably responsible for the reason why I am in the music industry, the reason why was an entrepreneur. This guy has helped mold me to the man I am today. So, without further ado, Fred Sotelo. What's going on, Fred?
What up, Rich?
How you been, man?
Man, you know, same old thing. Working, raising kids, trying to change the world.
I hear you.
Simple stuff in life.
The simple stuff, changing the world.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's good to see you again. You know, we've been friends for over 27 years, and it never ceased to amaze me that you always have something going on. So, for the people out there, what do you have going on at this minute right now? What is on Fred's agenda today?
Well, first of all, I'm having a blast fixing up old BMX bikes. Wow. You know, my first bike I ever built, I started building bikes when I was a kid. My first bike was a lowrider bike, a 68 Schwinn, probably in 1978, 79. And my brother did a candy on his Impala, and I took the extra paint, painted the Schwinn, and you know, bent the forks, and you know, the old days, you kind of trade parks and build your bike. And later on, when I went into junior high, you know, I got bused to Lewis Junior High, and there the kids were really, BMX was real big. This is 1982, 83, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I fell in love with BMX bikes. I just thought they were cool. You know, the number plate, the grips, the rims. You know, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was a kid, I lived in Paradise Hills. I lived in Paradise Hills in from maybe 7 to 11 or 12, and there we had a lot of hilly areas, right? So you'd take your 10-speed and you make it like a BMX bike. You'd be jumping berms and doing little spoons and forks. And my cousin Jesse's here right now. He knows what I'm talking about, right there by Paradise Hills Elementary. And then we would explore over to Paradise Valley Canyon. You know, over there by Morris, you had some cool areas. So I always liked messing in the dirt. So when I finally was exposed to BMX bikes, you know, in junior high, you know, real ones, some really, you know, dope stuff. GT was out, Redline, Torker, Haro was still new. They were just coming out. And so I built my first bike and I saved my money. In 1982, I used to work cleaning a bar on 37th and University called the Chalet Lounge. And, oh, man, I got pimped. I got paid $5 a day to clean this dirty, nasty bar. I mean, I can't tell you how nasty it is. The slits underneath, you know, from the spilled alcohol, you know, that yeast. Oh, it's nasty. And I don't even want to tell you about the stories in the bathrooms, would be in the bathrooms. So, you know, but when you're 12 years old and you have no money, $5 is a lot of money. Yeah. So figure you work 30 days a month for $150. You know, that was a lot of money because I think minimum wage back then was maybe $3.35. So anyways, you know, cutting the story shorter is I would work my ass off to buy, I wanted a BMX bike, right? A real nice one. And I wanted to custom build it, right? Because at the school I was going to, all the white kids, you know, they had BMX bikes. They had a little more capacity financially. But, you know, they just didn't know how to build bikes like we know how to build bikes, right? You know, our own flavor. We do things, you know, we do chrome and, you know, we the details. So my first bike I bought was a GT Pro Santa Ana edition, right? Tell me how cool it was. So everything on that bike was chrome except for my grips and my seat and my actual tires. I mean, my gooseneck was chrome. My rims, I had Aria rims. I mean, I had flight cranks. Everything was chrome. Yeah. And so can you imagine the kids, especially even the white kids, they didn't know what happened. They're like, I never seen anything like this, you know.
Yeah. White kids still rolling around with the chain guards on?
Oh, yeah, they didn't know how to do it. And then so I remember all the kids from the neighborhood were like, man, we got Fred's GT. That bike is bad. Laid back seat, GT Pro. You know, I have my pads. So anyways, I love that bike from 13 to about 15, right? 16. But what happens when you turn 16, Rich?
Hey, man, girls.
No, something even more important than that at 16.
What's that? Get a job?
No, it's even better than that. I had a job at 12, man. I cleaned the bar. I told you already.
What is that? What is it? 16. What happens at 16?
Driver license, man. Driver's license.
Now you got the real wheels.
Yeah, I got my first whip, a 1980 Celica GT.
Toyota Celica.
So my GT BMX, I forgot all about it, bro.
So now you're back on that. Now you're trying to You're picking up some GTs and
well, no, it gets better. So what do you do when you start chasing girls? You got a car, you forgot all about the bike, right?
right.
So I have a little cousin, and he's the reason why I connected with you, and you didn't even know this story.
Really? Yeah, I didn't.
So Eric Black is my first cousin. I don't know if you remember Eric Black. He went to Claremont.
Yes, I remember Eric.
Eric was a white kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Eric's Mexican. His mom and my dad are his brother and sister.
Oh, really?
And no one knew that because Eric looks white as you can get, right? He's an all-American white boy. Well, Eric is Mexican. He's part Mexican. So Eric was at Claremont. I used to go pick him up in my car, right? In my, I had remember I had that lower truck, the hard body.
Yeah, Nissan.
I've always liked fixing up cars and stuff. So anyways, when Eric, when I was 16, he was 12. He's 4 years younger. So what did I do? I gave him the bike, that GT, right? So what did he do? He ran it around, had fun, jumped it, broke it up. And, he was hard on the bike. That boy, I always joke, he got white boy wild on that bike. I mean, he jumping, doing crazy stuff on it. So anyways, that bike, I pretty much forgot about it, right? So how crazy is this? About 3 years ago, he calls me up. Hey, cuz, what's up? I said, what's up, man? You remember that bike? I said, my GT? He said, yeah, that GT. Remember the one he gave me when we were kids? I said, yeah. Guess what? It's been in my friend's mom's garage for 30 years sitting there. Is that not nuts? And so this is the bike that I worked my ass off for $5 a day, cleaning the nasty ass bar to buy this GT. And back then, I put almost $900 into that bike.
Oh my gosh.
In 1983.
Yeah.
Go figure. That was a lot of money. I could have bought a car back then. Could have bought an Impala that I would sell for $100,000 a day.
Right.
So anyways, I got that bike. He told me, I cleaned it up. So I have it at my house. And so, there's parts that are missing. Of course, like I told you, he got white boy wild on it. He was wild. He broke some parts and replaced them. But he actually put some cool parts on there. It has some Skyway tough wheels on there. It doesn't have the original chrome Arias. But so what I'm trying to do is get it factory back to the way it was when I was a kid. So that's been my excitement, is just, it takes you back to memories, your first thing you bought, and that's all you thought about, right?
Yeah, it was consumed you.
It did. It consumed me. And it was literally, and plus it was your own money.
Yeah. Yeah, you work hard for something like that. I mean, that becomes your baby. That becomes everything to you.
Oh, man, I'd ride that bike from Southeast San Diego all the way to Mission Beach, right there in the old days with the roller coasters, Hamels. And back then, they would freestyle, right? Either freestyle or break dance. So I had the best of both worlds. I could take my bike and freestyle and at the same time break. How cool was that, 1983?
Yeah.
And so that bike came back to me. I'm having fun fixing it up. Since then, I bought 4 other GTs.
Oh, nice.
So I got a GT Cruiser, 24-inch, on Skyways. I got a couple other ones I'm putting together, a little red line for my son. So that's what I've been having a blast doing, man.
That's good.
You probably wanted to know the other stuff, but that's what I'm having fun doing.
That's the big thing, though, right? Is like we always want to go back into something that takes us to a place where we can forget about work, we can forget about all the other stuff going on in our life, and just focus on something that we like to do and just geek out on it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the best thing, and to be able to have the time to do that is hard to make time. Hard to make time in all of our lives to be able to sit down and dedicate ourselves into something like that. So even 20, 30 minutes at a time to do something like that is, man, it's time spent well. You know what I mean?
You look forward to it.
You do. You look forward to coming home, or you look forward to that package coming out Amazon, you know what I mean? Or something like that. You look forward to those times like, oh man, I'm getting this new chain. You know what I mean? So I understand exactly how you feel with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but no one knows about this. This has been my geek thing I've been doing on the weekends. And like I said, I'm having a blast. I can't find any of these parts, Rich. I'm telling you, to find the original seat, the Arrow seat was made in Japan. You cannot find them. If you find a beat up one, they're $150.
Wow.
So I definitely, it's probably harder to build than a 58 Impala right now to build that old bike. You just can't find the parts.
Yeah. Is anybody remaking these parts or trying to remake anything similar to it? Or you want to go straight originally everything?
Well, Rich, I'm a purist, man. I'm stuck in time. It's like, if you're going to do it, you need to have the die-comp levers. You need to
Yeah,
have, the die-comp tires.
Right.
And if you buy the new stuff, I always joke the Chinese are amazing because they could copy anything, but
Yeah.
you in your mind know it's not the same.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not an original.
So yeah, that's kind of my little hobby on the side I've been enjoying is my bikes and putting them together. I have another couple other mountain bikes and now I just got to start riding them.
There you go. Yeah, so you know what? That's great, dude. I think that's awesome that you're getting into something like that. But you know what I want to focus on is I want to talk. I want to actually tell you something, right? Like,
hit me, man. Hit me.
I want to say, that without you and like Hav, when I was younger, obviously I got into some bad shit, you know what I mean, when I was younger. And
come on, bad shit. You were a little homeboy from
yeah,
Shelltown.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So it's like back then when I was younger, I was not in the right place, as a younger kid, and to be honest, I just wanted to thank you, and I wish I was here, but I want to thank you for pulling me out of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You guys came in, and for people that don't know, a lot of people don't know about, my past or whatever, but for those that don't know, there was Fred and Javier and Ricky Rick. They had you guys had a DJ training that came to our school, and I was all into music, so I wanted to learn how to DJ. So they had this sign up, so I went to this thing, and just so happened to be Fred and Javier, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to learn how to DJ. So I got involved in this DJ training. Well, not to know that would change my life. So I just want to say thank you for being a big influence of the man that you see today, and the people who do know me, the person you know me for today, and the person that I am, and how I raise my kids, and everything is I owe a lot to this man that's sitting in front of me, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
You know what? And thank you
what I mean?
for that. The greatest compliment I could get is that recognition, which I never look for. But I've also had the honor of being a witness to watch you grow as a man, as a person, as a teenager, and all the stuff in the past. We're from the neighborhood, so we just did hood stuff,
right?
But once you know the difference, that's when you make the decision to say, "This is the direction I'm going to go." And I've definitely been honored to witness the directions and the risk you've took in life, and the man you've become as a father. So Rich, also thank you for helping me grow, because I'll be honest with you. When we were working with you students, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We just knew we wanted to work with some young people and, and just have fun and hopefully teach them whatever we knew at the time. And so thank you for allowing us to grow by learning from you at that time period as well.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, and it's like every time I think about where our culture is going, wherever I think the neighborhood, and I think of minorities, and I think of things like that, you always come to mind, because you've always been that person that's always had the voice for everybody. You've taught us to speak with our voices, you know what I'm saying, and to go after those things. And for me, growing up, you know what I mean, we didn't get that a lot. So with the DJ training pushing me forward, learning how to DJ, and shouts out to DJ Rue, and shouts out to Joski, all these guys that I met through you guys that helped shape my life, but actually gave me a tool, and that tool was DJing. And to be honest, it's like you guys gave me a trade, that an entrepreneurship spirit that has paid me over my whole life. You know what I mean? I never would have took that jump or that leap to start my own business if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't have took that leap to DJ and try to do my own thing. You know what I mean? And you guys really pushed me in that direction, And for people that don't know, Fred, back in the days, used to own, his company was one of the biggest companies in San Diego for promotional. They used to throw clubs. They used to do, every club or every pop-in club in San Diego, Fred was a part of. He would do events where like Viva Hollywood and things like this. These are all events and things that we see today. You got these talent shows like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You got these talent shows like, America's Got Talent and all this shit. You were doing that in the freaking 90s. You were doing that early 90s. Viva Hollywood. You would go there and you would showcase your talent, and you would be able to show this to everybody. Like, you were on the cutting edge of tons of things that are going on to this day. And Fred, honestly, man, like, the way you were able to shape these minds and everybody you've touched. I mean, honestly, if anybody's got the privilege of meeting you, I can honestly say that they're going to have something good to say about this man. You know what I'm saying, about you? Because you know what? No matter what, you've always showed everybody, hey, this is how we grind it out. This is how we move forward. This is how we're going to do this. And you know what? That right there, that little piece that you implanted in my brain will never die, bro. I always get up every morning thinking about business. I always get up every morning thinking about hustling. I'm always on the grind. And that, honestly, is a lot to do with you, bro.
Man, thank you so much. And I hope you don't get my age. You're right behind me, because you get up in the morning like me, and I'm saying, damn, I need to sleep another hour.
Yeah, I'm getting there, man, getting there.
Nah, but you're right, Rich, and I thank you again. I can't be more humbled than to hear this, but, you know, I think I reflect on those times. I'm turning 50 next year, so you definitely have to be at my birthday party and do a set.
Yeah.
So last night I decided I'm doing my 50th birthday party in June 26th.
Nice, I'll be there.
That's right. And I want all my family there and people, and, you know, that I've grown with. And so, of course, the first one I called was DJ Ricky Rick.
There you go, Ricky Rick.
And so Ricky said, I'll be there.
Nice.
And the backstory is, when my 15th birthday, Ricky DJ'd my birthday, right?
Right.
And that's when I became his manager, 1985. So 35 years ago on my birthday, 50th, will be 35 years since Sonic Sound. I was invited to the group and became the manager.
Wow.
And I think, reflecting and hearing you, like I said, I'm very thankful for you, and that you've been in my life, your family. I've been a pleasure of knowing from your sister Vanessa, you know, Beto, I call him, not Beto, but Beto.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he always was, I could say it, you know, now that I'm old, probably my favorite player. That he was my baby when it came to coaching him.
Right.
And of course Raymond, and even your father, you know, I got to know, and your mama, you know, so I've had the privilege of knowing you guys. So thank you. And I think a lot of my passion, I reflect lately, as you get older, you start thinking about things. Why do you do things, right? When you're younger, you don't never think why. You aspire what you want to do, right?
Right.
And you may not have a plan, but you know you have an aspiration. And so I've always been that dreamer and aspiring, and more importantly, I just do it.
Yeah.
You know, without really having a plan. Sometimes everyone thinks I had a plan, but it was more, let's just do this. And now that I'm older, I'm a little bit more deliberate, you know, things that I want to do, because you realize when you get older, you know, you don't have the same energy, the time, your responsibilities are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back then, I think my biggest passion was also built, and I don't share this with many people. I had a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that when I had pain, my pain wasn't, you know, obvious. I got hurt or anything, but I start realizing about the time you came into my life and we started a tribe. I must have been 21 years old, 22 at the time, 21. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was in college, you know, at San Diego State when we started that. And that was a big awakening for me, where it wasn't that I had a mentor or I had anyone that changed me. It was more, I start really reflecting on our communities. You know, gang violence was at its peak from 88 to 92. It was really bad. And I was right in the middle of it. Just think how crazy it is. I have a custom truck running through the hood, cool, wearing great clothes. I'm like, shit, I was a target when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, how lucky I never got shot or whatever. And then in my freshman year in college, I don't know if you know, I was in the middle of 5 shootings in 1 year.
Wow.
Literally, I could have been shot. You know, look, full on, you know, we were all in the middle of in different shootings. And I think the time you came into my life and the rest of the students and, you know, Ricky, we were kind of just reflecting on, damn, why is it so messed up in the communities we're from? You know, why is everyone set tripping? And then more importantly, you know, my oldest brother's been going to prison since I was 9 years old, you know, boo-boo.
Yeah.
And my brother's my big homie. You know, he's the one that always made sure I had food. You know, he loved me. He wasn't always the best example, but he never didn't love me. You know, he would always make sure, hey, you all right? You're cool. No one could ever pick on me. You know, he was my big brother. Mm-hmm. But he made bad decisions, right? So he started going to prison at a young age and, you know, got real caught up in all that. And then I seen relatives and other folks. And then at the time I was in the mix when we met, I was 21 and, we were DJing, we were cool, we were doing all the big parties. But I really start reflecting something's terribly wrong in our communities. Why is it that we're so talented? A lot of my talented friends, but they're not going to college because they got to work.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can't find a job or whatever opportunities weren't present. And so I think, I start getting a burning desire and passion in my heart to say, shit is wrong here. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
And so when we started the program with you guys, it was actually because of Marcos Quintero. He was in trouble and he had a teacher that was advocating for him, Miss Snyder. And she asked me and Ricky if we could come talk to kids. And so that's what we did. The first time we met, we talked to you guys, what we knew, DJing. And so I'm reflecting on this because to this day, and a lot of my successes I've had in life, as well as many, many failures, that little time period was probably my biggest growth period as an individual. It wasn't, college is important, but college didn't make me. I didn't learn anything I didn't learn in sonic sound and working with you all. Because I learned about people. I start, being empathetic to say, what can I give back? And I think that was a big part of my life so thank you for being there, is the DJ training, because I was able to give. And this is biblical. It's much better to give than to receive, right?
Right.
And I think at a young age, I start learning how to give. And I'm going to be tell you right now, I challenge anyone out there, give more than you should receive. Always look to help. Even on my worst days, I always tell myself, how can I help? And it doesn't make me feel better, but I know in the long run, we can make this world a better place. I'm an optimist. I'm always optimistic about things. And so, today, what pains me, and I'm going on I'm getting up on my soapbox, is that, 35 years ago or 30 years ago when we met, we're still seeing the same stories over and over.
Yeah.
In the community, lack of opportunity, discrimination, racism, being targeted. And it pains me, about to turn 50, to reflect on that, because, we work hard to go forward, but sometimes things don't go forward. And I think, now where I'm at my life is to say, what can we continually do? So how blessed are we that we still do the same program we did with you in 1991, in 1999, and we work with about 100 to 150 kids a year that we're able to train. You just seen a video. Yeah. And for me, it's not about, it doesn't even make you feel good. It's just the right thing. And I feel I have an obligation to give back, because I was the lucky kid that didn't take a bullet.
Yeah.
I was the kid that, my mind, that didn't go to prison. I'm the kid that, for some other reason, we had a blessing of wonderful, wonderful peers that were men that were loving, that got my back, and that are still with me 35 years later. My compadre Javier and, Mario, yourself. And so I always think to myself, how can we replicate this love that we have amongst young men from the ghetto that traditionally society would stereotype us? They're savages, they're violent, they're not reasonable, they're whatever stereotypes they're out there. And I say, you know what? Some of the most beautiful men I have in my life I've had from the neighborhood, and we're still together. And I've had journeys all over this world and met with a lot of people, but my blessing is those around me. Yeah. So my biggest prayer every night is that hopefully the next generation could have the same experience of wonderful people. That we're not perfect. We do make mistakes and we have challenges, but we still love each other, believe in each other. And I think I always pray on that hopefully with these kids that we work with, that they create peer-to-peer relationships, and that they could have trust in each other, and that they could depend on each other. And at worst, they could be there for each other in some capacity. And I think that's what drives me to still give to the Tribe program is, I'm thankful for my blessing is hopefully that these kids could have the same experience, because, I'm so happy that I have these folks still in my life, and it's been a great journey together. So even when we have had our successes, a lot of people, focus on your successes. I'm like, man, but I've had the same people with me when we had no success.
Exactly. And I think that's what that's what kind of molds and shapes us, right? Like we keep meeting people day after day, and we walk through our lives, but you have your core set of group of friends, or your core people that you turn
brothers.
to. Your brothers, right? Someone you can
And
talk
sisters.
to. Yeah, someone you could talk to, someone you can hit for advice. Some people will just tell you how it is straight up, and there's a lot of people in my life that I go to ask those questions or lead me in the direction I feel I want to go. But then I got to ask that question of, is this the right path? You know, what I
Brutal
mean?
honesty that they'll give you.
Exactly. And those are the people that you turn to. And with you, it's like seeing you go through these, knowing you for so many years and seeing all the different paths you've went through and the people you've helped. It's like, what is the next step for Fred? You know what I'm saying? Like, the man who's done a lot already and is going to continue to do things, but in our society and in the culture we're in now, you know what I mean? I don't want to get into politics because I'm not into that at all. But as far as the way you see the world now, like, I always ask a question to everybody who comes on the podcast. I always ask, how do you think social media influences what's going on in our culture today?
I'll start with, we are going to go political. So,
okay.
I know you don't like it. We're going to go there.
Okay.
So starting with the social media just elected a damn president
Right.
of the United States. And I shouldn't say damn because I love my country. I'm a proud
Yeah.
American. My father was in Vietnam. My grandfather actually was in World War II, Vietnam, and Korea. Mm-hmm. And he went to Vietnam with my father. How crazy is that? My grandmother had her husband and her son go to Vietnam together.
Wow.
So, and my father's buried at Fort Rosecrans around with my great uncle. And, as a Sotelo family, I'm proud that we have Sotelos. My cousin Jesse's here with me. And so I'm a proud American. I love this country. I love the opportunity. I know nothing else. My family's been here almost 100 years. Mm-hmm. Where's American? When you say apple pie, well, where is American? It's a taco shop.
Right.
You know what I mean? Straight up.
Yep.
So, we are America. But right now, it's a tough time for America. When I say go backwards, and a lot of people are really frustrated politically, what they believe. And I've seen a lot of, through social media, people are torn apart on their views, and there's a lot of hate, right? Mm-hmm. And pointing and finger pointing.
Right.
And the challenge is, I think right now is we now have, and I may be politically correct for saying this, but white people have brown people problems now.
Yep.
And I say that because there was a certain privilege to being by color in America. I mean, if you don't address the issue of race in America, you're not being real. Race has been a big challenge that this country has faced since its inception, right?
Right.
And I think right now is with income inequality, and there's no laws against greed that, which you would call white privilege in the past, kind of there was a privilege. A kid that would maybe just graduate from high school that was Anglo would still probably do better than a minority that went to college with a degree, because more than likely their family had home ownership. There was more stability, financial, and also opportunities, right? Yeah. So now I think we're in a move with housing crisis where, I don't care who you are, if you have to make $125,000 in San Diego to buy a house, that's nuts,
right.
And now that makes me concerned because it has nothing to do with my kids. It's the next generation is not going to be able to buy a house. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in my generation haven't bought a house. So there's problems that are politically, they're a result of politics, right? Mm-hmm. Why a lot of things are happening today. And in return, everyone's pointing the finger at everyone, right?
Yeah.
The Dems or the Republicans or the president. Mm-hmm. Me personally, and I'm going to put it out there, I'm thankful for this president. Know why?
Why?
He's brought out, he took the veil off the truth.
Right.
Those that are racist, those that are having views of hate and intolerance, now we know who they are.
Yeah.
And so, and I've learned if I'm going to have my faith in God, and there's only one Savior, and that's Jesus, and you know what I mean? I can't give my faith in any one human being.
Right.
That's just, I like I said, I'm a pretty strong man of faith, and also I can't have hate. It's not right. It's not in me to hate, even though I strongly disagree. I'm not going to hate one or the other. Mm. So I got to say, what is the lesson that I'm learning from these people, whether it's the president, whether it's even people on the side that I tend to agree with, And right now, what does give me fear is that there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of naysayers, and we're losing hope.
Yeah.
We're losing optimism, and I think that affects me. I think about it every day. I want us to have and communities like us, when we came from communities of color, that we lacked education, we lacked access, we lacked home ownership, we lacked a lot of things, right?
Right.
But we always had hope, right?
Yeah.
Our parents would bust their ass and hope that we could go to college. I mean, how cool is it? My cousin sitting here listening, Jesse Sotelo, and this is how hope works. We're cousins through our grandfathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
His father was my first coach in baseball.
Wow.
And his brother, Michael, and I played together, right? So who would have thought, raised in Southeast San Diego, we played together. Jesse's daughter is the mayor of National City now.
What?
Alejandra Sotelo Solis is the mayor, and she's young and she's fighting about these issues we're talking about. So I have hope, man, in my own family through a relative. She's breaking barriers as a woman and a Latina, right? But I also see the stuff that's not happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so my hope, when you say what's next for Fred, right? My businesses are a key right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm full court press. This beer company is Cerveza Exteca is all that. It has a great plan. You heard it yourself.
Yeah.
What we're doing is relevant. We're working our plan that we developed.
Right.
And success is about having a plan and working it. And all that's great. And there's going to be a lot of hype, between the beer company. I'm speaking at this conference. Oh, you guys are that. But you know what? My hope is that this company is just another step for me for learning, networking, and building my wealth.
Right.
Because my wealth, I have to reinvest it.
Yeah.
Into our community, into my own family. Mm-hmm. You can't just, and I've learned, you can't just save others if you don't save your own.
Right.
And if you don't save yourself.
Exactly.
And so I think where I'm at right now is making sure my family's doing what they need to do, and we're in a capacity to do it, spend time with my mom and my brother and rest of my family. But also, my hope is that within our society and community and the strength that we have in our little world, that we could influence people to have hope, and that we could work with young people to have hope and trust in each other and rely on each other, because I think it's infectious.
Yeah.
It's no different than a gang. Everyone, humans, we want to belong and we want to be inspired, right? It's really simple.
Yeah.
Chargers go win a whole bunch of games. Next thing, you go to Walmart, you buy yourself a Charger shirt, and now you belong. Right. You're inspired to belong. And I think what we need to create is an effective inspiration of good and of hope and of loving each other. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what's in my heart right now, is whether it's your faith, whether you're not faith-based, it doesn't matter. It's not hard to love. It's not hard to believe. It's not hard to have hope in people. And as we build our capacity in communities to step up, we won't let each other down if we really mean it and we're intentional of helping each other.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's where I'm at in this divisive time, and social media is, I'm not buying into it, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay optimistic, and I'm going to continually have hope.
Right. Well, that's good. That's a good insight on that, because a lot of guests, have one view or the other when it comes to social media, when it comes to the way, social media has helped shaping, our government, shaping our world, shaping the society, shaping the way things are going right now. And, it's a real big thing. It's something that, we didn't grow up with, you know what I mean? So it's totally different for us to see this take shape. But to be honest, it's like, a lot of these kids, that's all they know, and it's good to get, somebody's perspective on what we need to grow in this world. You know what I'm saying? And to make our society better, and in that, it's like, where can we separate the reality from fiction? You know what I mean? You sit back and you see this as you're scrolling up and down through these fake lives that people supposedly live. You know what I'm saying? And it's a real weird time we're in right now. You know what I'm saying?
But I think it's an opportunity.
Yeah. And that's where I was going. Right. So my thing is, for being like a hustler, right? Like, and you're a hustler to the fullest. And where do you think your drive and your hustle comes from? Where do you think you got that from? Like me personally, like, like I said, it's a combination of you guys. It's a combination of something that's in me that's always been there. Where do you feel you get your entrepreneurship from? Where do you think you get your hustle, everyday hustle? Because we're always on the grind. You know what I mean? Where do you think you get that from?
It's funny you asked that because I always get labeled a hustler.
We're all hustlers.
And now being a hustler actually has a positive connotation, right? You know what I mean? And when I was a kid, it's like, I don't know if you want to be a hustler. They're going to get you, right? And so, I've had that label probably longer than most, right? I've never worked for anyone. I've always done my own thing. And I don't know, for where I see it is I've never really been a good hustler because anyone that knows me, I'm not driven by money. Right. You notice I have nice things, and like anyone else, I love cars and bikes, and but anyone knows me, you never hear me talking about the money. Mario and I have been partners for 25 years, and we've never fought over money.
Right.
If anything, we have a disagreement, we go eat and we're cool, and so I've never been driven by greed or doing things in that nature. But what does drive me is, and maybe it is justice. I'm a just person. I don't think I'm a good person. I try to be a good person, but I don't like injustice.
Right.
It bothers me, whether it's injustice at whatever level, and I think I've had the skill set to fight against injustice. I don't have racism hit me. It's hit me, and I kicked the dude's ass.
Right.
Straight up. The dude tried to call me a beaner and wetback and this and that. I knocked his ass out. Mm-hmm. So, and not that violence is, this is a teenager. I'm saying violence, I'm not condoning or anything, but I never allowed it to happen to me, right? And because I'm a proud person, right? When you're proud, you sometimes it could be good and sometimes it's bad, but pride has worked very well for me. Mm-hmm. Being proud is, you do what you do. If I got to go clean up or do the work, you've known I was the only promoter that was larger than life in the world, but I was the same one out there putting flyers on cars and hustling.
Right.
So I wasn't there trying to look cute. Oh, this is my club. I was hustling. Mm-hmm. So I think going back to that pride and what you do and responsibility, that's been my hustle. And I think I got it from my family and my mom especially. My mama, she worked 2 jobs. She worked at the bank in the day, first Latina in a bank environment. She graduated in 1958 from San Diego High, from Logan Heights, born right there in Newton. Mm-hmm. And she still had signs that said no dogs or Mexicans allowed in 1958. There was no civil rights. And this same woman that worked at a bank in the day would go clean at night, the bathrooms at the sports arena. Wow. So, I watched her work hard and even me, I was raised in a neighborhood in Southeast San Diego, but you know what? I don't have a war story. I didn't have food at the house or my house wasn't clean, but we lived in an apartment in Paradise Hills, but you know what? It was pretty safe in my house. Yeah. It's just when you walked out the door, it was nuts.
Yeah.
But in my own house, and my mom showed hard work and she'd be tired and, had diabetes at a young age and high blood pressure because of stress. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I always watched that work ethic of her and the pride that she didn't take anything from nobody. She would just do it on her own. And I think, through observation and then I had other influences of people that are in prison and my relatives and coming home. And I said, well, I definitely don't want to go to prison. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about it, I think it's a combination of influences. Right. And you got to pick and choose which influences make sense for you.
Right.
And it's hard because it's easy to get motivated, but at the same time, how do you decipher what's right for you?
Yeah.
And I think where I'm at, going back to 50 years old, this is a big time for me, as I'm reflecting is, what worked. And a lot of the things that worked in my life was friendships, love, and even in family. You don't choose your family. Some of your family are like, damn, how did this happen? Right? Can I trade you in like a trading card, right?
Right.
Can I get another cousin for this cousin? And I'm just joking. So if any of my cousins ever listen to this, it's not you. Except for you, Trick. It's the other cousin. But, and then I've learned in life that you choose your friends and you choose your brothers.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where I've been blessed to choose some good brothers and sisters that aren't, my biological, but we trust and we support each other.
Yeah.
And I think the future, going back to the social media thing, I'm excited about all this and data and the ability to do, because no longer are you controlled by the general media now, the traditional media. So now it's about content, right? And right now what we're doing, we're creating content.
Right.
And now it's in our hands, because it all comes back down to distribution.
Yeah.
Who has the form? Now distribution is free.
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, all these different means, Instagram, Snapchat. So now if we could create content and we have free distribution platforms, now I think you and I have a responsibility. So today, everything happens for a reason, right? And this is my faith side that says you and I making this podcast was already predetermined.
Right.
It was already written.
Yeah.
Now you and I just need to take the signs and be obedient, right?
Right.
So Michelle Klepper is one of my chosen sisters since, she was in Sonic Sound Crew. Mm-hmm. And, Michelle went on to have a great career at MTV. She executive produced Jackass and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Well, just today we were talking about doing the Sonic Sound Story as a movie.
What? That'll be awesome.
The Sonic Sound Story is a movie with me and Ricky and, Ricky, myself, Joe, how it started. And you were talking about some Joeski stories that make it into the movie. And how we ended up working with you and as kids, when we were teenagers, some of the pain you went through, we went through the same pain, right?
Right.
You like a girl, she don't like you, or something happens to somebody, and just trials and tribulations. And what I learned in the Sonic Sound era is we were there for each other. We didn't have anyone mentoring us, but we were there. I had one friend that was homeless, what they call unsheltered today. Mm-hmm. And that was happening back then in the 80s. Yeah. And we would look out for that person or another person's family or whatever situation. And so what a great story if we could tell the Sonic Sound story. And I think what I love about the Sonic Sound story is, I get pigeonholed sometimes as that Latino dude. He's a Latino guy or Latino leader or whatever. But anyone knows me, and I was reflecting on pictures since I was a child. My pictures has everything from all shades of brown, white, purple, yellow. I've always hung around with everyone. I never was that Latino guy. I was just the guy that hung around with everyone.
Right.
And I think that's the story that we want in Sonic Sound, Sonic Sound story about youth and coming of age and, and love and kind of leading to the inspiration of what this next generation. It's love each other, value each other. Yeah. So we just talked about doing that and try to get someone to do a script and getting us together and podcasting. And then the second thing is the power that you're talking about of change. We need to expose the injustices right now, like the stereotype when you hear about in Mississippi or Kentucky, how they had deliberate corporations recruiting from Latin America, whether it be Mexico or Central America, for their chicken farms 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So this was an architecture to get thousands of people to come for our food and brought them here. It wasn't like, I needed to flee my country. They brought people here and encouraged it as a corporate strategy. Right. And illegal, right? Illegal. It wasn't even legal. It wasn't. Yeah, there was no coyotes. There was these corporations.
Right.
And I think what I would like to do is more storytelling, not in a non-factual, but in a factual way. Let's tell the truth of that story. Mm-hmm. How there was a deliberate migration from corporations that wanted to make money on these cheap labor.
Right.
And then, I would like to, in the next phase of my life, just tell truthful stories.
Right.
So that, we could do the best to be accurate, because I think the truth will always prevail, especially in time.
Yep.
And I think where I would like to see, and then that's why I have this little studio in my office, and me, I like gadgets, but I also see the power of this podcast, because let's keep telling those stories that are truthful, they're relevant. And I think that's the change that we want to see in the future is with all this tons of information, at the end of the day, people are going to gravitate to the truth.
That's right. You're right. You're 100%.
And so that's my vision of how to use this social media. Let's put out good, truthful stories.
Yeah.
That are real.
Yeah.
And then, let's use the distribution network to get them out there.
Exactly.
And there's so many wonderful stories out there. I see myself producing some of these stories in the next 10 years of my life. That's the next phase, is how can I participate in the media? And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. I mean, look at a little company like this, Cerveza X Tech, I was telling you earlier. Mm-hmm. Social media, right? when you go into the Walmart where, on the displays, you see the neon signs, right? You see Heineken, you see Budweiser and Miller and Coors, right? All these big brands. These are billion-dollar companies, Corona, Tecate, and you see Cerveza Exteca.
Yeah.
We're the only one, right? We're here in our office right now. Our office is not what those big companies are. And know what? We're competing because we could put a post that gets 250,000 views.
Yeah.
250,000 people on one post have watched whatever we're doing. So I'm excited because little companies like me, we are competing against billion-dollar companies. And in my band, we're competitive.
Exactly.
And it goes back to content and relevance. When you look at Cerveza Exteca, our imagery, it's on point.
Right.
It's relevant. It's cool. It's inspirational. When you look at it, you don't buy Cerveza Exteca just because you want to get a beer and get drunk. You get it because you feel something. It's emotional. You look at that artwork and say, man, I just like that.
Yeah.
And then when you go drink it, it's great quality beer. You're like, man, this is really what it's about.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're doing with the beer. It's just being relevant and authentic. And I think that's all you can be in anything you do in your life. I've learned just to be who I am and be authentic. I can't be something I'm not.
Right.
So that's kind of like going on a long, circle on that. Is the next wave of my life is just to keep being authentic and do stuff that is impactful. And let's take advantage of these technologies and opportunities instead of seeing them as a deterrent, because they're not going anywhere. They're not going to go away.
Yeah.
So how can we leverage them to benefit and be just? I guess that's in my mind. How can I make this help me be just? Right.
Yeah. Well, there it is, everybody. Fred, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Just want to say I love you, brother. And why don't you go ahead and give a plug on this Cerveza Azteca? Let everybody know where they can pick it up. Where they can go to the website.
Just follow us, Xteca, Xteca. Cerveza Exteca. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you could look on social media. We're there. And, just check us out, see what you think. But more importantly, it's an excellent beer. We built it. It's a craft beer. We wanted minimal aftertaste, minimal bloating, and a really good tasting light beer. And we're really excited because we got our hoppy lager coming out in a couple months. There you go. And they're just going to know Cerveza Exteca is making great drinkable beer by a few Mexican-American kids from the neighborhood that somehow figured out how to make great beer. So we're having fun.
Right on. Appreciate all that information will be in the show notes. So if you guys want to go check them out, I suggest you go check out Cerveza Azteca. Beer is on point. Fred, once again, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you coming on. I really thank you for being a good friend in my life, dude. Love you, brother.
I love you more, brother. And let's make the next 20 years fun.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to 3820 Podcast. I'm Rich G.
Things that I observe, hey yo, things that I observe when I smoke herb and drink a lot of drink. See a girl, I miss the lover, but yeah, Shabba ranks. Gorgeous girls all in my face, and y'all be tripping ankle brace. I ain't trying to hate, but what these wet panties